live in a time when technological advancement is constant and visible all around us, especially in the realm of consumer electronics. Of course, it's not evenly distributed across all fields, so occasionally a certain category of devices experiences its 5 minutes of fame and comes into focus with significant improvements. In basketball terms, the most improved player. From the beginning of the year, when we followed the events at the CES fair in Las Vegas, it was clear that computer monitors were the most serious candidate for such recognition in 2024, as there were more innovations presented than practically in the whole last decade. New technologies, fresh improvements to existing ones, and a multitude of actual devices that use them have delighted us, as they seem like a true renaissance in this category, which has long been relatively static. The main focus is certainly on OLED technology, which has made significant steps into the monitor market over the past 2 years, but this year it seems may finally experience a widespread acceptance by users. We've long seen OLED on TVs and wished to see OLED's benefits on monitors as well, but the adaptation has been slow for several reasons: price, maturity of technology itself, longevity in specific applications, etc. Judging by the announcements and the models we've already seen, the problems with acceptance are behind us, and the last and largest one, fear of burn-in effect, has been eliminated by Gigabyte, which has decided to provide a full warranty on all potential issues for all its new OLED models. The first of their OLED monitors this year we saw recently was the 4K 240Hz Aorus CO49DQ, alongside which a whole range of models is expected, from those with innovative specifications to models with affordable prices that will interest most users. If everything goes as we expect, it looks like many of us will have reasons to send our IPS and VA monitors into a well-deserved retirement. However, while we wait for those budget models, we got to test another one of the unconventional models that target a specific audience, but with all the advantages that OLED has to offer. It is the Gigabyte Aorus CO49DQ, which comes with a Samsung QD-OLED panel of the widest 32:9 format and diagonal of 49 inches, a refresh rate of 144 Hz, and a resolution of 5120 by 1440 pixels. Although it is a monitor that belongs to Aorus series, primarily intended for gamers by specifications, it is clear that it may be even more interesting for those who want a monitor with a lot of workspace, but without compromises in terms of specifications and display quality. Let's see how it performs in practice and what it has to offer. First, due to its size, like many 32:9 monitors, the Aorus CO49DQ comes in a box that I could pack myself into, primarily due to the great width of the panel. In fact, this 49-inch model is practically equivalent to two 27-inch monitors joined into one, which will best illustrate the dimensions. As for the design, unlike many OLED models, this one at first glance would not clearly let you know which panel is involved. It lacks that ultra-thin metal profile characteristic of OLED monitors and televisions. Instead, its appearance is similar to modern LCD-based monitors. The reason is probably the curvature with an 1800R radius and great width, so hard plastic and a somewhat wider profile were probably a more structurally reliable solution. This does not mean that the monitor looks bad, because the build quality is very good, and Gigabyte has made an effort to achieve a more modern look despite the subdued design, both through shape and textures. This is most visible on the back, where the entire surface follows the curvature of the panel and is covered with a texture with alternating polished and sandblasted lines. In the same style is the Aorus logo at the top center, while the central part that is protruding and hides all the electronics is a sandblasted variant, intersected by just one horizontal line. On its top side there is a huge vent, which is also stylized and slightly recessed towards the center. As for the stand, it is a combination of plastic on the outside and metal reinforcement inside. The base is V-shaped and moderately sized for this width of panel, while the arm is solidly robust to provide very good stability. The stand supports panel height adjustment within a 13 cm range, left and right swivel by 30 degrees in each direction, and panel tilt by 5 degrees down and 20 degrees up. Pivot is not supported, as it makes no sense with such wide panels, and the height of the stand would not allow it. However, VESA 100x100 mounting on the wall or arm is supported, so vertical orientation is theoretically possible if you really need it. All connectors are located in the usual place on the bottom edge of the electronics box, and you get two HDMI 2.1 ports, one DisplayPort 1.4 and one USB Type-C with Alt-DP mode, which can also serve as an image source and can power external devices up to 18 watts. Besides, there is also a USB 3.0 upstream port, which together with the Type-C connection can serve as a KVM switch, plus two more USB 3.0 downstream ports for connecting peripherals. KVM capabilities, as well as picture-in-picture or picture-by-picture from two different sources, especially make sense given the format of the monitor, and can be very useful for simultaneous work on two computers. Picture-in-picture mode supports adjusting the window size, and it's a pity the same is not supported by picture-by-picture mode, where splitting is possible only into two equal parts. Among the connectors, there's also a headphone output, and the monitor comes with 2x5W stereo speakers that provide quite a decent sound quality for a monitor, sufficient loudness for a standard working position, and a fair frequency balance, although bass response drops sharply below 100 Hz to a minimum of 60. There's also a surround mode option, which at the cost of somewhat poorer frequency balance provides a much better soundstage, which will come in handy for games when you decide not to use headphones and you don't have a better 2.1 speaker set available. As for the image, we are used to expecting high display quality from QD-OLED panels, and the Aorus CO49DQ is no exception. Right at first glance, it is clear that it is an OLED, both due to the obviously very high contrast and the unusually high saturation of colors, a combination that is out of reach for other types of panels. Of course, there is also excellent panel uniformity and perfect viewing angles, which are especially welcome in such a wide panel where all parts of the screen can never be at an ideal angle relative to you. A very important thing for those who want this monitor for professional use. We measured the maximum brightness at 1069 nits, which together with a perfect black level is enough for a very convincing HDR display, especially if you use HDR Game or HDR Vivid modes, which are significantly brighter than the other and provide a very attractive display desirable for gaming. Those who want a truer display, especially for work, will probably stick to sRGB mode, which offers the most accurate colors with very good delta deviation, which we measured at 2.5. With additional calibration, this model can be an excellent tool for work in design and video production applications, where it seems to offer the most. It should also be noted that this is probably the only monitor so far in our measurements to exceed the factory-rated color coverage, with 99.9% of the DCI-P3 spectrum, which is an absolute record among all the screens we have had on test so far. Of course, it is a 10-bit panel and an exceptionally good one. It seems that the time is coming for the display industry to slowly start aiming for complete coverage of the BT2020 spectrum, which practically covers all shades that the human eye can see. Practically the only criticism we have, just like with the recently tested FO32U2P, relates to the text display, which is not ideal due to the pixel arrangement for which clear type fonts in Windows are not optimized. With the mentioned 4K model, this was less noticeable due to the high resolution, but as this involves a double QHD, if you pay close attention, you'll notice that the edges of letters have certain tints, which makes them not look ideally sharp. As for the resolution, 5120 by 1440 pixels is practically the optimum for this size, especially for work where it offers a good balance of visibility and workspace. Whether you work in one application that can utilize all the available screen real estate, like Adobe Premiere for example, or in multiple windows that you can arrange as you wish, there is plenty of space. As for gaming, this resolution keeps the hardware requirements at a relatively acceptable level, although you will still need good hardware as there are about 11% less pixels compared to 4K resolution. If you have a gaming computer with good enough performance, the gaming experience on this model is really good, both because of the 32:9 format and because of all the advantages that QD-OLED offers for gaming. The response of the panel is exceptionally fast, realistically about 100 times faster than the current IPS panels at the same refresh rate, so the display in fast scenes is significantly sharper, which allows you to react quicker. Variable refresh rate is also supported, officially AMD FreeSync Pro, unofficially NVIDIA G-Sync, but both work fine without problems. When mentioning variable refresh rate and OLED, there were questions related to VRR, PWM, flicker. Our colleagues at Ratings have made a video on this topic, but it occurs only with huge variations in frame rate, which you will rarely encounter if you have a suitable hardware for something like this, so we did not notice it during testing. We have already talked a lot about the experience of gaming in 32:9 format, and it is fact that in some genres it not only provides better immersion in the game, but also a concrete competitive advantage. Here we primarily think of the FPS games, where you see practically twice as much of the environment, so you can notice something that you would otherwise miss. Although most modern games support this format, many older games do not offer a 32:9 option, so in that case you will have to choose one of the 16:9 options in the display mode menu, which use only the middle part of the screen. Whether a 32:9 monitor is worth buying for gaming compared to a more conventional format will depend on the user and the games they play. From my perspective, it is more likely that someone who needs additional space for work will buy something like this, and that gaming will just be a bonus. Of course, tell us in the comments what are your thoughts on this topic. Finally, let's mention burn-in, which is always an important consideration and something that often hindered users from considering OLED when buying a new monitor. Gigabyte has made an excellent move, and all of their this year's OLED models are covered with a 3-year warranty that includes any such issues, so if you like this monitor or any of the other options, there's no reason to avoid it. Especially since monitor is equipped with a host of features aimed at avoiding burn-in problems, from shifting the entire image around, for which purpose some pixels around the edge are reserved, through periodic pixel refreshing, control of static contrast, dimming the image when there is no activity for a longer period, etc. All these options are available in the menu, where you can also adjust all the parameters of the image, KVM switch, and gaming-related options. Menu control is possible via a mini joystick under the middle of the bottom edge of the panel, and if you prefer software control, there is also the Gigabyte Control Center application, in which you can activate all the mentioned functions from the operating system, except for OLED Care. All in all, the Gigabyte Aorus CO49DQ is an impressive monitor, both in terms of format and size, as well as in terms of display quality. Although due to its peculiarity it will probably not be a choice of many users, for those who are looking for a lot of workspace and a top-notch display, it will definitely be a very interesting option, as well as for gamers who want top performance and a unique experience. For those who like what Gigabyte has done here, the good news is that the CO49DQ is already in stores at a price of around $1,000 US. So those were our impressions, but we would also like to hear yours, so share them with us in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please leave a like and maybe consider subscribing to our channel for more interesting tech content. You are watching Bench House, my name is Ivan, and I'll see you next time.